Well, yeah, I guess we can just, put it up as it is. We don't really need an intro, but yeah. So welcome to you guys tuning in or whatever. I don't know. No, that's lame. I don't know.
Or whatever.
You know what? Yeah, we don't need an intro for this video. It's gonna be good as it is.
Yeah, just let it flow. Like the feminine, let it flow.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
so
have, yeah, when did you get your deck? You got it yesterday, right?
today,
So
this morning.
we have the same deck. Ooh.
And do
Mhm.
we want to like set an intention for this, for the card to come out, or are we just going to shuffle and allow for one to come from each of us?
I think I would just say let's try to get messages for the topic that we wanted to discuss, which is the feminine waters.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean that's it.
Enough. Yeah. Okay. Oh
Okay.
God, it like flew out already.
Oh, you have one already? Okay.
Yes. And that's interesting because this specific card came to me 2 weeks ago
No
through
way.
through something else. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Mine don't want to come out anywhere. I had one and then I'm like, and then you said intentions. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, start over. Want to come out. So what did you get?
So I got Go the Distance, number 47.
Okay. So I just got one piece.
Peace. I think that does relate as well. I think they both relate actually.
Do you want to get one more or just one and one?
Yeah, you get another one. I'm gonna go for one too.
Yeah, I think it'll bring more clearness.
We're getting a super amazing message. We're gonna weave this together.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Love this. It's in the ocean as well.
Oh, what does it say?
Message in
Oh,
a bottle.
oh,
Very
amazing.
clear for the people checking it on YouTube, but
Oh, now this is okay. So if we start from the top, mine came out first, so it was
right.
Go the Distance.
Uh-huh.
Then yours was next, which was
Peace.
Peace. And then your next one came out first, which was Message in a Bottle.
Yeah.
And then we have New Life,
Oh, nice. I like that.
which is very connected to the feminine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a very feminine looking card for sure.
it is, isn't it?
Oh wow, that okay just came to me. Like that's that balance I was telling you about that I feel like I've been working on within myself and that I also see reflected in relationships and stuff. And in the collective in general, it's like this need for that balance. And then so that card, the one with the what was it, the jaguar or what this one?
Yeah, the cheetah.
Yeah, that's more like the masculine energy.
Yes, that's exactly what I was getting.
Yeah, it's like this go and
It's like that pushing energy to get things done and to see it through.
and then the peace one is more like the going within and like
Stillness, resting.
yes, a little more feminine. And what's that thing up there? It's like a dove. There's like a dove in mine. Like it has these like I see it. It's like it's a bird, but it has like
Oh, yes.
these things right there. Like
The
it's
Holy
carrying.
Spirit, the dove.
Oh, okay, the Holy Spirit. Oh yeah, the dove. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And it's like carrying these little fruits or whatever. Yeah, but what it I guess for me it's more about this face that's right here. It's inside the egg.
Yes, it is inside. So
So
that
that's like that going in and out.
and message in a bottle inside the bottle is the message. Inside us is the
Oh yeah, and there's a phone in there. Do you see that?
message. Yeah. We are the phones. We are the technology
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, and it's like that communication, that line of communication that we
Mm.
have, but not going and trying to go higher. Look, it's in the
Fire
ocean.
in
It's in.
the
Ah,
waters.
I know. Mm, yeah,
Oh my gosh, we could do this all the time, man. Just weaving these beautiful messages.
it's so much fun. I love it. I just love,
Uh,
like everything that we have that could be considered external is really a tool that's just reflecting what's within ourselves.
mhm.
Yeah, I've said this before too, and I think we've talked about it, but I think it's important to just say for anyone tuning in today is that, yeah, as long as you're not saying, oh, this is it, this is always going to give me the answer, and like always turning to that thing, and seeing it as something more powerful than you, it's more like, oh, this is a tool that I brought into my reality in order to reflect what I already know within myself,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think these like cards, for example, like the oracle cards, when
Hmm.
you first get the decks and you're kind of experimenting with them, to me it was a, like you say, a tool, an access point to kind of see the symbolism behind it and interpret the message. But then you start to get so in tune with yourself and your own like perception or inner vision that you need them less and less, and they're beautiful to have around, and I love like using them, and but I'm getting to a point where I don't really use them or need to use them as such, because like you say, it's all already within me. But
Yeah,
they are
absolutely.
so beautiful though.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. You got the same one. And I was actually thinking about getting another deck, and I'm like, I already have a lot that I don't even use. And I'm like, maybe not right now, but I still, yeah, I love this one because yeah, the one that doesn't really have all of those little kind of distortions or like
Mm,
um things that I see in the other ones nowadays. I'm
yeah.
just like, yeah, and the geometry and stuff that they use, it's like
I just love like
not.
they're so imaginative and
Mhm.
dreamy. And so
Mhm.
each card, yeah, it's got the message in the book, but when I see all these symbols, like you can interpret it for yourself. So
Yeah.
that's why I really love these cards, because I see so many different messages in that, and I haven't even read the message in the book. So
Right. I rarely look at the book unless I feel like there's something there that I need to
mm.
see that's like probably adding on to what I already got from it.
Because sometimes you do get a card and you're like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me. So you like look.
Yeah, or you might want something that goes a little deeper because yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, I think this means this, and it's like, well, sometimes you're like, well, I kind of already knew that, but I feel like there's something more, and then that's when you can look at the messages, and also there's like in this one, I don't know if you saw, but there's like three different types. It's like the essential meaning, the oracle message. Oh, there's many, like relationship message, prosperity message,
Yeah.
protection message. So it depends on like really what applies to you. So it's kind of like you have to look at them really like without really reading them first, and then go into the one that you think is applicable because they can be opposing messages as well. So
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that was
Oh.
fun.
Yeah,
So
I thought like it was just a really fascinating observation that we had that conversation today about, well, from my perspective, allowing more of my feminine self to come out in a sense, because I've been in that very logical, um like focused on finding things out, that the detective element of the masculine has been very dominant in my life, and I'm reaching a point where it's it's not like like friction within myself, because I'm able now to sort of neutralize it, but it's just an observation that I'm just trying to allow the gentleness and the softer nature of actually what has been hidden within me to
mm,
come out. And I feel that both of us have that kind of vibe.
yeah, absolutely. Hmm. I resonate with that a lot. And so what I was telling you before is that I've been thinking a lot about this this vision that I told you about that I got during the summer, and how it has been coming up so much, and people have been posting things that remind me of it, or I have a conversation where someone brings something up and that keeps coming back. So I'm like, okay, I think I really need to keep that message present, and reflect on how I've been, yeah, trying to balance the energies, but also where am I still kind of operating from maybe either an unconscious pattern, or something that is still not, yeah, it still needs to emerge perhaps, or maybe mature in a way. So yeah, and that message for those of you listening to this video is that I had and it was like a scene in which I was looking down at the ocean from a platform. It was a triangular platform too, and everything was just blue and beautiful, but it was super high, and I was scared. I'm scared of heights in general, but in this dream, yeah, I was like, I felt like I had to jump. So I did, and I kind of ended up floating down. And it wasn't really a dream, actually. I was conscious, but it's that state where you're like in between, the hypnagogic state. And I got that ear ringing I told you about, and it just kind of took me to this. First, I went through like really weird areas, like a video game with fractals and images, and I went through like literally portals, like doors within doors. Every time I got to like a portal looking thing, I would like clench my teeth and make my ears ring, and I would go through it. Yeah, and I would like just kind of squeeze into it, and some of it was like one part was like super narrow, and I'm like, and then it got to this like, it looks like a checkerboard kind of thing. And it's like, I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what's gonna happen here. And I was kind of scared, but it made me think of like how sometimes we are a little bit scared of going really deep within ourselves, and scared of what we might find there. And so I ended up in this hallway where I started hearing the voices of my family, and especially my sisters, I think, and me. It seemed like there was a scene that I was kind of recreating or something, but I could hear them like through a loudspeaker. And so I was like sitting there, like, or standing there, and I was only like wearing a shirt, like just like a big shirt. I was, yeah, like, it made me feel like very vulnerable to be standing there like that. I could have been naked too. I don't know, it's like, but I at least had a shirt on, I guess. So, and then what happened was there was a door on the right, and this is important because to me, like the right side is the masculine energy, and then the left is the feminine. And in that at that time, the left side of my body was really tense because I had this session with a friend of mine that is like, I guess she does like, it's like a chiropractor, but it's not really chiropractors. It's a little bit different. She's more geared towards the spiritual side, I guess, but she did something like she checked, and I guess, yeah, my fascia, the connect, what's it called, the tissue that
Connective tissue, yeah.
was really tense on the right side for the most part. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Plus I had been having weird pains on the right side as well. Then I had the solar plexus thing that I told you about, was just spasming the whole time. So it's this whole like masculine thing, like I think the solar plexus, what it's like related to creativity, but also like how we feel that others perceive us and things like that.
The drive, kind of, you could say like the sort of seat of the ego in a sense, because it's
right.
very Mars driven.
Right. So I was having all that going on, and then in that dream, that door was to the right. But instead of going through it like I did with the portals, I was like, what is this? And so I got confused, and then that part ended and everything was pitch black. I was like, okay, I want something else. This can't be it. So I clenched my teeth again, and that's when I ended up at the ocean, like at the platform. And so that was like, yeah, for me it's like, well, okay, there is something special here that I maybe didn't get before, that it's going to come up or something. So I decided to explore and go down to the shore, and there were huge waves. I was like, whoa, this is scary. I was scared of like, I'm scared of like, some people might say, oh, the ocean isn't scary. I'm like, well, think about a tsunami, or think about, if you're going like super deep and there's all these creatures, and so it can be kind of daunting.
God.
Yeah, you just got a thought.
Yeah,
Tell me.
it's it's like I'm just seeing the depths of the feminine, like I said earlier in our messages.
Mhm.
I'm just seeing the depth and the vastness of the feminine and how that can be really scary because there's so much unknown, but yet there's so much power. And obviously, you could utilize it in different ways. It can be so destructive, but
Yeah.
yet it's creation, it's new life, it's everything, and that's freaking terrifying at times, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Think of like the power of a tsunami, you know?
Yes.
And it's like sometimes we're scared of that power, and also it can be seen through many different layers also, there's also the emotions, everything that has to do with feminine energy in general, I guess.
Mhm.
Um yeah, and so it's like for me it was like, oh, is this how my masculine energy feels towards my feminine,
Oh, yes.
so yeah, I found myself when I heard that thing that I told you, that this voice came in really loud. What is it about the ocean that makes it so beautiful yet so scary? And tears were streaming down my face. I could feel them. And then the experience like ended, and I was touching my face. I'm like, but there are no tears on my face. It was just so weird. I'm like, but then I actually did start crying because I'm like, I have to integrate this. This
You
is
know, as
like,
well,
mm-hmm,
I know obviously there's been a lot of family stuff that has come up for you in the last year.
mm-hmm.
Is there like this big, almost wave tsunami of emotion that you haven't tuned into or you're afraid to see
Ah.
because of what it will release, and potentially just this tsunami is just gonna, you feel it's gonna be so overwhelming that you don't want to look at it or something?
Maybe, yeah. I do feel like there's some maybe hidden memories or in my mind, like stuff that that has happened before that, yeah, like you said, maybe is too painful to look at, or it could also be a past life, but it could be something, yeah,
Mm.
from this lifetime, and then I'm still not, yeah, wanting to go through that door.
Yeah. That's to me that, like, because you keep getting this sort of repeated centering back to this specific thing, that it's like I can see like a key and a lock. It's like you've just got to put that key in there and unlock this, and this is like this huge potential of, it just feels really big to me right now. And I
Oh wow.
see like this huge tidal wave of water just coming towards me, and I'm like, oh my god, here it comes.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. You're right. You're right. And so it's like, for me, it's like maybe the masculine in within me has been blocking that from coming forth by always trying to impose itself in a way. You know, it's kind of like what men do sometimes when they feel like they're less not worthy of a relationship or something. And women do this too, but more men, they try to show who they are and how capable they are, and oh, look at me, I'm this strong, or I did this, and so I found myself doing that quite a bit when I was younger. It's like when we're in an environment in which we feel like we're not seen, we
Mhm.
we start feeling like we need to prove ourselves, even if it's just very like indirectly, or very low key sometimes, but we still do it because there's a part of us that still doesn't believe in ourselves, or doesn't want to see that power, like I said, or yeah, or let all that emotion flow, and under, because under that is just so much, yeah, so much power, right? So it keeps it a little bit repressed, like, no, don't go there, look at me, and do stuff, stay active, create projects, do this, do that. So always about running around, and sometimes not taking the time to really love ourselves, like we should. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. Hmm.
I do resonate a lot with that as well, and I feel that I have been in that environment as well, where I've wanted to have external validation for me showing up and me doing this and me doing that, because I think from a child I was in that feminine energy a lot more and in tune with it, but it got shut down all the time. And so as a coping mechanism, I went more as my sort of masculine self and said, right, okay, well, that didn't work. So let's just park that away and let's be more brash. Let's be more outspoken. Let's be more, look at me. I can do this. I can do that. And I did get attention for that. And so I was like, oh, this is it then. And I carried that on through most of my life until probably in only the last 3 years when I've like, I've completely shut down my wisdom, my intuitive guidance that has always been there, but I just said, no, gonna do it logically. I'm gonna find out all the answers by looking at all the books and reading all the information. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
absolutely.
letting her flow. So this is like a total unveiling, unmasking to just be that vulnerable. But I'm like you, I kind of block it a lot. It's like I can feel it bubbling underneath me, and I'm like, no, gotta protect it. Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just always putting an obstacle in front of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's because of that, I guess, being frightened about it is what keeps coming to mind. It's
Yeah.
like, and it's also reflected in relationships. I see that, and then it's like I tend to, well, I don't want to say we, but at least for me, it's like, and I've seen it with other women too. It's like the tendency to demasculinize men, and not intentionally, not like we want to make them feel less or whatnot, but it's that same thing that we were saying, trying to prove ourselves, like, yes, look at me, I am worthy of love. Whereas it's like, just by being there, that's the feminine energy is that powerful. We just have to really just be there and to cause, tidal waves. And then we're still trying to, like, hey.
I know. It's like we're still trying to control it all, and like it's like, no, just be still, be in peace, and let it happen.
In
That
peace. Yes, like in the card.
that's
Yeah.
the part I have found really challenging is the stillness.
Yeah, likewise. And then also I want to emphasize the fact that this is also seen in men, right? It's like we all have both
Mm.
feminine and
Oh,
masculine
of
energy.
course.
So I
Yeah.
want to emphasize that, yeah, for people tuning in. I know but like, yeah, it's important to understand that we're not saying, oh, women are this and they're the intuitive ones, they're the healers, so let them be that and then you do your thing. No, it's more like how can men also start I guess integrating more of that feminine energy as well, and but then how can we complement each other so that, yeah, I mean, maybe some men are going to want to express more of the feminine energy, and that's okay, right? You'll find someone that has more of a masculine energy, but still you've got to, like, see how you can balance those two within yourself so that you're actually being yourself.
Yeah, exactly that. And I do try to, I have mainly, predominantly masculine people in my life. And it is about, in a way, imparting that if if they're able to, if they want that information to say that you do have the two elements within you and awakening them to that. And like you say, it is first about balancing it within yourself, because if you don't, if you're in denial that, oh no, I'm a man and I only have masculine energy, then, well, you're just going to be out of balance. Because I have found that has been quite a common reaction to a lot of the people in my life, is to
Hmm.
sort of laugh, to think that they may have more feminine qualities. But if you actually just take the time to explain what that means, then it softens and the information can come through, but you do still get met with some, like, straight up, no, that's not how it is.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
time, in time, it will all come to people. But yeah, it is very important. And I think for me, it's been such a beautiful process to see within myself the qualities that I have, and the areas where um, I have been out of balance, and to actually use my meditation and my dream work to bring through that the healing that needs to come. I've had so much healing in my dreams, working with my dreams to heal that sort of fracture, shall we say, within myself. And it's just been mind blowing how much has come through that. And I think you get, well, you get such profound dreams as well, don't you? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, dreams for me have been a big, important, like part of a big important. Yes, that big.
big
It's
important.
I wasn't sure about what word to use, and I ended up using both. But it's I guess yeah, it's been a huge part of my journey for sure. And since I started paying more attention to them and yeah, actually working with them, it has been life changing, because a lot of people don't really want to look at the dreams because they're like, oh, there's just, um mundane kind of stuff, but every dream has some significance or a message or a symbol that you can actually interpret and apply the message to your waking life as well. So yeah, I mean, all the stuff that has been repeating as well, I'm like, okay, I'm just, sometimes you don't get the answers right away. I'm like, I'm still kind of waiting on some of those answers that I already asked the question for since I've been having these repetitive dreams, yeah, with family or water has been a lot in there for sure. Yeah,
So
there's a few things.
I've
Mm-hmm.
got so much water messages recently,
Mm.
so many, and that for me has been, sometimes I do let my, or I have in the past let my emotions make the judgment call instead of pausing and reflecting. And in a lot of times the message will be like the waters are really choppy, or
Ah,
it will be like a big wave or something, and it's showing me that in this situation, in my waking state, I made a decision based out of an emotion. Instead of, if
mhm.
I let it subside and go back into stillness, I would have seen the bottom of the ocean and the solution.
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that the how the waters look, that's very important in dreams. So do they look still? Are they choppy, like you said? Are they maybe there was a friend of mine who told me about a dream in which she turned on a shower and it was only getting one side of her body wet, and then I had the very similar dream, except I was all wet and she couldn't turn it off again, and then I had the same thing happen. I couldn't turn it off. So it's like, oh, how is that representing your emotions, and also like what side of your body is getting wet? That's important in my opinion as well. And so yeah, these little things, right, that we just like, oh, I was just in the shower and then I couldn't turn it off. Oh, that was weird, but but it has a meaning. So yeah.
Yeah, another one I used to get a lot was I'd be under a rain cloud and no one else would have the rain cloud. It was just me. So I was the one just getting wet.
Oh.
Mm. I know. um, yeah, I do get a lot of water dreams actually. And the one I told you about most recently was when I was by the stepping stones.
Oh
And
yeah.
I couldn't. So when I was in the dark in the dream, I nearly went off a cliff because I couldn't see the edge. And then I found myself at the bottom of this cliff, and it was daytime, and I saw these stepping stones, and it was very still. So I started climbing over the stepping stone, and then I started to climb up to the cliff. And then in the daylight, I saw there was a clear path, whereas in the night, I didn't see the path, and I nearly went over the cliff. So
Wow.
to me, it was like, because I've been freaking out a little bit about, the unknown of everything,
Yeah.
right? And almost grasping at things to be like, this is the way, this is the way, no, this is the way. And instead of just being and allowing the path to just show up, that's what the dream to me was saying. There is a path. You just need to chill.
Right, right. And then you let things come to you. I guess there's like
Little
coming.
stepping stones, just
Mm,
step by step.
right, exactly. And then you take action, right? That's when you take action. So it's like that waiting and then you go. It's not just waiting and sitting there and do nothing. So that's the balance. That's the balance.
Yeah, that's the flow, isn't it? It's like waiting. Ah, here it is. Go. Oh my God.
Yeah, knowing when to go and when to wait is so important. And sometimes we're just stuck in the go, 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 you know? Mm.
Because one of the cards I pulled today was the message was knowing when to say yes and when to say no when opportunities arise.
Oh.
What is, because recently as well, I don't know if you found this, but I've had, oh no, you did. I've had a lot of offers for work, but it was to do with the work I left behind, and it's
Oh.
not the soul stuff that I want to do.
Mm. Mhm.
So it's like, it's almost like the universe saying, "Do you still want to do this?"
Ah,
It's
yeah,
me to be like, "No, I believe in myself. I believe that I can, find my way in the stuff that brings me joy and happiness. I'm going to say no to these things."
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
you had that too when you got the running shop, the guy. Do you remember? He said, "Would you like a job?" Mm.
Yes, that was so interesting because at that time I thought I was supposed to get a job. I'm like, okay, I'm running out of finances here and my bank account. I was like looking at everything and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's time to get a job. So I was like, well, if it's aligned, it will happen. Kind of like already planning on it, right? But not expecting anything specific or being too picky about it either, because I'm like, if this is a challenge, I'm gonna go for it. If I have to go back and work in sales like I used to, I'll do that. And so yeah, that's why I was looking in that area because that's what my resume is like more like, well, it has a mix of a bunch of stuff. The thing is, I was more like psychology lately because I was doing the PhD, but then I didn't finish it. So I'm like, well, can I still work in this area? I'm like, maybe not. Maybe I'll just go back to doing, marketing or something like that. And so I was like, just kind of put the energy out there. And then, yeah, I started getting opportunities. But at each time I would get someone telling me, oh, and then just randomly just throwing jobs out at me, like, oh, at a restaurant, like, hey, oh, do you want to work here? And I'm like, okay, what's the schedule? But then it wouldn't correspond to, for example, the schedule with my daughter. For example, they wanted me to work night shifts or stuff. And I'm like, no, there's stuff that I just can't like compromise, like.
Compromise is the word.
Right. That's the one, right? It's like, so you have to say no when it just compromises things that you don't want, or when it's like compromising who you are, just like with you with that job. Is like, no, this just doesn't feel like me. I'm not going to do it, and trust that you will be guided to something else, because you can settle for less and do
Oh,
that, right? But
yeah,
yeah, but then
man.
you'll
Like,
just.
we
Mm,
all have the choice, don't we? It's not like, it's just, I don't know, having that belief in yourself and that trust that you can align to the thing that brings you joy and happiness. It is possible. But equally, if you're just like, that'll do. But you probably still get there at a point anyways, because maybe in a year or so, you
mm,
realize, oh, wait, this still isn't what I'm after. I still think that it's the soul led business that I want to do. Right. Okay. So I feel you'll always, even if you take some loops out and you take the long way around, I still feel that you'll eventually get to that point where you're ready for it, because it can be scary at times, when you're putting your faith and your trust into something. You've left behind the jobs, you've left behind the relationships, the living situation, and you are literally you're just out there in the unknown, and that's terrifying to a lot of people.
yeah, the unknown, yeah.
All
Hmm.
these challenges that we've faced, and everything else, and the more faith and trust you have, and the more you tune into that, you just realize, well, I certainly realized that I'm going to give it my all to make these visions that I see come to life, because that's what makes my heart just sing. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I love how you said that your heart sing. I love that. Yeah. What makes your heart sing?
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
And
and that's another part of it as well, is like bringing through your voice, speaking speaking it out,
mhm,
what it is that, or who you are authentically, truly. And that's a challenge in itself. And especially I found over the last couple of days, when we're
mhm.
in this sort of period of festivities and you've got a lot of energies of different people coming in, you know, family members and everything, who are asking you all the questions, you know, all the have
So
you
what
got,
are your plans,
yeah,
Siobhan?
exactly. And it's like, well, I'm just being guided by the universe at the minute. So I'm waiting for the signs and the symbols. And they're all like, what? You know? So there's been a lot of that over the
Oh,
past like couple of days. And I have to just remember that in a way you're a way shower, and yeah, it's important for me to know that I can achieve those things that I see, because if I do that, then it shows to others it's possible. So, and you're planting seeds, right? Maybe not in this lifetime. Maybe not in this lifetime will everyone sort of get to the same point, but you're still planting seeds, I think, for future growth.
yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking that we're going to be looking back at this video like a few years later and we're gonna be like, oh, look at us, that's so cute.
Yeah.
They don't even know like what's gonna happen later or how they're
Oh
gonna
my
be like,
God.
like
We really don't, though. That's the thing. Like,
I know.
what is going to happen?
No, I think I think we're going to be in this place where we have so many of the things that we would like to have, but we don't even some of the things we don't even know, like you said, but some are kind of just very vague, like that, like those connections, the projects where we were talking about where people can come and go and share their gifts. I
Mm.
believe some of that stuff is going to start materializing very soon. Well, it is kind of already starting, it's
Yeah.
yeah, with this new project that we have going on, which I'm not going to say anything until it comes out, but yeah, I'm so excited. I'm really excited about this. Yeah. I'm going to Oh, you know what? Yeah, this is important. We have a call for that project. Well, not just for that, but we're going to talk a lot about it, I think, on Monday. Are you going to be there, right, for the
Yeah.
call?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really important, right? Because it's like I was just thinking about this earlier too, how our strengths are hidden under the things that we have either gotten like blockages from other people before, or just ourselves feel like when we feel really insecure about something within us, or just for example the teamwork is what came to mind. I'm like, oh, I'm actually starting to practice this again because I've always had a tough time working with teams before. And I'm very much of a leader and I can do it. But then at some point I'm just like, I don't like it and I don't like the people that I work with and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, how can you work with people even though you don't agree on everything, but how can you manage that and all the different energies that everybody has, and also like start attracting more of the people that you actually can work with better, which is what is happening right now. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like maturing, isn't it? Because I think we've both probably been in these situations before in our past work experiences, where we have been in these situations of like office life and team life, and it's like you've been through that process, but there was a reason why we went through all that, and to understand the dynamics and how things work and how things don't work, to the point
Yeah,
where we can utilize that still. Like nothing is wasted, even if we're not in those same roles and that same like industry or whatever. But
hmm,
it was training almost for potentially what it is that we might be doing, you know. And
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. It's like, how can I learn those lessons and now bring that into potentially what I'm doing as a mature spiritual being, right? Because everybody's got their different, like you say, talents and what they're bringing to the table. And you're not always going to see eye to eye with everybody, but it's how we handle it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then also the communication has been a big thing for me since I'm little as well. And all the things that people used to say about how I spoke or my voice or whatnot. And I was just like, oh man, like I don't like my voice, stuff like that. And that I'm still working on today. And yeah, so big thing for me, I think, is definitely the helping people connect and spread the word on things. I think for a long time I was also focused a lot on, oh, how what can I learn, is what information, trying to always look after chasing the information, right? Not so much, like we said, being still and really listening to what your soul is here to experience. So I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, I can relax more now that I have a more clear vision of what I want to do, even if it's not 100% clear yet, like we were saying, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting because I'm like, back to what I was saying earlier, I think we're going to be more in that space of really living the life we want in a few years, and we're going to be looking back at this video and it's like, oh yeah, look at us, what we were saying.
But like, isn't that beautiful though? I think you said something yesterday in one of your Instagram stories. It was like, enjoy the journey or something, enjoy the ride, or
Yeah, enjoy the journey. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, it's very easy sometimes in the sort of human element to get like, maybe feel a bit anxious, or like we said earlier, a bit scared of the prospect of the complete unknown. But it's also so beautiful to have no idea and to just let like spirit guide you, to
Mhm.
just tune into that voice within that's always been there, telling you, not telling you, but very gently guiding you to your highest potential.
Yes, you know what came to mind? The image of this image of like a canvas, and it's like a painting, it's like you start, like sometimes you can be like, I don't even know what this is gonna look like. You don't have a specific plan of what you're gonna paint, and then you just start painting, and then all of a sudden you have this masterpiece, and you know but you weren't even expecting to have that before. It's like, yeah, that's, this is more like the feminine energy, right? Hmm.
But you know what I see as well? I actually see, so I see from behind is the masculine, and
Uh,
the masculine almost has the full vision of the picture, and the feminine only sees this little portion, and she's like, oh, I'm going to do a little cloud here, and she has no idea what the full scale of it is. But
uh,
when you kind of zoom out, there is like, that the masculine behind, who kind of has that
um,
vision and is able to sort of guide the flow of the energy to the like materialization of it.
oh wow, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I was getting this, like, it's as if the image was behind the canvas and you can't really see it, but it's there. The thing is, yeah, it's true, everything is already done, like
Already there, yeah.
everything, yeah, everything is happening at once anyways, and we're tapping into those
Mm.
future timelines. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And being guided all the time. And we can also choose to not necessarily follow the specific plan or whatnot, but I do believe that there are some things that are predetermined by us before we come here. But it's us, it's not like God or somebody else, right? That's like saying, oh, you have to come here and do this. No, it's we as a soul, before we incarnated here, we're like, I want to do this. And then it's about uncovering all that. It's getting rid of all the layers and the filters and the trauma in order to really tap into that soul purpose. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, we're seeing so many like visual things today. I'm loving that.
I know. Yeah, I love the visuals. Yeah, I'm super visual. Yeah.
Well, that's so nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Now we're just flowing in.
Yeah, just wondering if there's another thought or something that needs to be said for us or for anybody listening. Hmm. Yeah, the word slow keeps coming to mind. It's like, yeah, really learn to slow down sometimes, and even how we speak, sometimes we go too fast, and
What we do.
yeah.
I think I think we just get so excited to talk to each other sometimes as well that it's like blah 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 blah.
That too, yeah, that too. But I was even mentioning this with someone the other day. It's like, yeah, we were also in spaces where we didn't really feel heard, so we felt like we had to either be really loud or speak a lot in order to get the message across, whereas it's not really needed. And also like trusting more our frequency, because that speaks a lot, and even to the unconscious minds of people, you know.
Yeah, that's another good point because I know that both of us have said as well that we feel that we're quite good at reading people and reading people's energy, and actually what they say may not be what they're actually saying as a soul.
Yes, I've seen that so much lately. Like you see a message
Mm.
and somebody says something and that you can just read it. Like you get the other message that's behind it like instantly. And I'm just like, all right, I don't know what to say to this because it's like I see what's going on here and the person's not really wanting to say the truth or whatnot. Like I have a really specific example actually. So and I had to like really tune into like, okay, so who am I, what am I here to do, and how am I going to react to this to not betray myself. So yeah, respecting my boundaries, etc., but at the same time being aligned with who I'm here to be, because I'm, like I was saying, here to create bridges, communicate, create connections. But I was thinking, well, but that doesn't mean I have to be nice to everyone or help everyone. That's not the point. Not like lose myself, like, trying to please people, etc., like I used to. More like how can I do this without compromising myself and my energy, right? So what happened was that there was this person who I had recorded a podcast episode like a really, really long time ago. And we were friends on Instagram and stuff. And then all of a sudden this person left. They deleted me and stuff. I'm like, all right, I wonder what happened. You kind of feel it at first. You're like, I wonder what I did or what happened, right? But I'm like, okay, well, that's how it is. So later they came back into my life randomly through an event, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, interesting. But it's not, people change, well, we change, we evolve. And I wasn't really like feeling like reconnecting with this person or anything. I had nothing against them, but then they wrote me a message saying, oh, like I know, like I deleted you, blah blah, but it's because I was going through this and that and things that they were like processing, and I guess I kind of maybe brought up some stuff for them to work with, and they never addressed it with me. They just decided to leave. So I'm like, they're like, you didn't do anything, it was more just me, I had this wound and etc., right? Or maybe I had said something or not done something that they expected me to do, something like that. So I think it was more like that. I think when we don't react in ways that people expect us to because they're wanting something more, and we're just like, all right, yeah, whatever, they're like, okay, I guess, oh, I'm not loved here and I'm gonna leave. That's kind of what I felt happened. So when they wrote me that message, I replied, um but didn't really reconnect or anything. And because they added me again on Instagram, and I'm just like, all right. So then they wrote me again saying, I think you don't understand, like, what's happening here or something. No, it's like what this means, like, the interaction or whatnot. And I'm just like, what is there to understand? Like, yeah, you explained that you were going through stuff. I get it. So I guess they wanted me to be like, oh, this is so amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I really just literally didn't care. And I felt bad, but I'm like, but do I have to really care? No, you don't have to, like, loving people doesn't mean like it's not the same. It's like you don't have to like the person. You have to, not have to, but like for me, that unconditional love is about respecting people for where they're at, and maybe, yeah, and being empathetic, but not to the point where you're going to lose yourself, going back to the point of like, okay, how much is this compromising who I am, etc., right? So I looked at this person's profile and saw, well, maybe there's something here. Why are they back, right? So I looked, and really not resonating with the posts or anything. And then they shared this video with me that I'm just like, what is this? So I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time for me to say something, because this person keeps reaching out and sharing dreams and stuff, which is like, okay, I'm like, So, and then asking questions. So I'm like, okay, yes. So my job is, yes, maybe to answer questions. I'm here to help people or whatnot. But so I would just answer like very shortly, But then I got to a point where I'm like, I have to say something because I feel the intention behind this. And it's like we were saying, like we read behind it, right? It's like in a message that might say, oh, hey, can I pick your brain on this and that? Behind is like, hey, can you give me attention, please? Like, or something. And I'm like, okay. So, and anyway, what I decided to do was to be really honest, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna be really honest here. I'm just not feeling this connection. And yeah, I've seen that. And so I also, of course, acknowledged the work that they have done because they were obviously wanting to be seen, right? There was an aspect there that was like, look at me, look how much work I've done, I've evolved, I've changed, I'm better. Great. I'm like, that's amazing. I love it. Yeah, however, I'm just not, interested in this connection. I didn't say it that way. I said something more like, I don't know, say I'm not feeling the connection right now. And it's not to say that in the future I might not we might not reconnect. I don't know. I don't want to like, it's not about closing doors on people anymore because I used to do that a lot. I still kind of do it sometimes.
I
Like,
do too.
yeah, it's like, oh no, I don't know, you know. But I'm like, I just know right now the way I feel right now is this, right? Respect how
Yeah.
you feel in the moment. Don't be, don't push away the quote unquote negative feelings or yeah, just not feeling like you want to do something for someone. But for me, I was about to just not respond, and I'm like, that sends out a clear message. But then I'm like, well, wait a second. But for me, that actually kind of betrays who I'm here to be. I'm here to also be a guide and etc. So I didn't want to come off as someone that was just completely just oblivious and ignoring. So I was like, I have to say how I feel, and these feelings have to be acknowledged. So I did say that, and yeah, and so and they just kind of went like, okay, but they didn't say anything, just replied with an emoji, which to me was like just kind of reflecting, okay, I see where this person is at, they didn't say anything else. So I'm like, okay, cool. I guess that's fixed, like, well, not fixed, like there's nothing to fix, but like I guess that's resolved. The issue is like, I don't have to deal with that anymore because what would happen if I continue to just reply shortly? It would be sending the message that I am interested in and putting my energy into this relationship, which I wasn't. And also it's making them probably feel uncomfortable because they don't know what else to say to get my full attention. So I'm just like, this has to end right here. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but that again, that's like that spiritual maturity is to actually acknowledge it and to say, look, this isn't really the connection that I'm wanting. No ill wishes or anything, and then that's just the end of it. But that's having that boundary again, isn't it? Because previously, and to be honest, that's a good message for me because I need to work on that, I think, a little bit too. Because it's well, it's like having that honesty and like you say, to show up as your authentic self because in your body, I feel it in my body when there's a resistance because it's not for my highest good to engage with someone. But there's that thing of like, oh, but I want to be open and helpful.
Yeah.
But like you say, how much of that is being helpful if you can feel that it's not an energetic match for you and it's time to just, like you say, close the door in a sense, but not, we're not like blocking everybody out, but just saying, yeah, being honest about it.
Right. And I think that helps the person more than if you just ignore them and leave them like wondering what they did wrong. Because
Yeah.
I don't like it when people do that. So I'm like, okay, if you don't like what people do, right? Always look back and see where are you still doing that. And that's what I was going to do. But then I'm like, wait a second, I don't like it when people do that to me. And also, if I want to really show what I'm doing here, which is when you want to help someone, it's not always about being with them. Sometimes it's about letting them go. And that helps sometimes even more than holding on to a relationship or trying to just kind of be there, but not really there.
Yeah, massively. And I will hold my hand up and say that I have been a person that has changed my life a lot and have tended to just walk out the door of people and just say that part of my life is over. I moved on, but I never gave an explanation. I would never say that. And so often I would have people still contact me from that old life and say, how are you getting on? How's things here? How's things there? And you know what? Maybe I should have been honest and said, look, I've moved on and this is how I do things. No ill wishes. I cherish the moments we shared together, but I've moved on, you know?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, I know it can be a little difficult sometimes, especially when we're so used to being people pleasers, and
Yeah.
that's really tough because that's exactly what is blocking us from meeting the people that we should be meeting, because we keep giving our energy to these people that are not aligned with who we are,
Yeah, it's a beautiful lesson though. Like everything, it's just the lesson. And when you finally like it hits and you realize, this is the energy that I've been giving out and this is where it's been going, right? I know how to handle that now and in a higher way, shall we say. And you can end that lesson and like you say, then the relationships that are ready for you will come in. But
Yes.
yeah, it has been hard because I've been on the receiving end of people just completely shutting me out, and I've also done it to other people. So I've seen it from both sides.
I know, right? And it's like we keep ourselves in these karmic loops, kind of like you do it to someone, so then someone comes and does it to you, then you do it to
Yeah,
someone, and it's like, well,
this madness. Instead, if we actually just said the truth and what was in our hearts, then that would quicken everything really. So I am trying to learn again to reflect, not react in the moment, and to tune into my heart and what does my heart say about the situation
Mm-hmm.
and be guided by that. And if it's like, come on, no, you need to step up and tell this person the truth. Look, that part of our life is over. I love you as a soul. Off I go. So
Yeah.
yeah, tuning into that heart.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be tricky sometimes though, because sometimes people just really don't give you the option. Like I was just thinking about this other message where I literally did not reply. I was like, should I have? But then I was thinking, well, what the person said actually did not even ask for a reply. And in a way they were wanting it, because it's again going back to like you see the message behind the message, but it was just like, I'm done here, I've done what I can, and this person is just not really getting it, so I just left it. But like, yeah, sometimes you do have to leave it. It's not always about what am I going to say. Sometimes it is good to just not say anything, and that also says a lot. So sometimes a response is a no response as well.
Totally, totally, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Especially on, like social media.
yeah, especially social media. Yeah, if it's in person, you're not just gonna be like, like, so
Yeah, just
I
walk
just
away.
leave.
Yeah.
Hello. No, but in social media, I mean, yeah, especially if you've been trying before, you go and make the effort to respond, and then the person doesn't, and then they go and then tell you something, and you're like, okay, fine, and then you respond. And then it's like this back and forth again of like, okay, who's making the effort really here to communicate? If it's only you, then it's time to stop. And you don't have to say, like, hey, I think it's time to stop. You can just stop. That's okay too.
Mm.
Yeah, it's that balance, right? Again, like, what do you do? It's just, yeah, case by case basis.
Where is your Mercury again? In your
Oh, yes, I was like thinking about that earlier, the communication. So Mercury's in Pisces. 0 degrees
Oh,
Pisces. Yeah, so it's apparently a very like powerful alignment. So yeah, and it's so that, yeah, that intuition and the depths of the ocean.
yeah, ocean consciousness, imagination, dreams,
Yeah. No.
art. Mm.
How about you? Do you have Virgo? I think you said. No, I don't know.
Taurus, actually.
Taurus. Okay, I knew it was an earth sign for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting that grounded, nurturing, watering the plants, I like to see it as,
Wow.
planting all those beautiful seeds of remembrance.
Yeah, and then also I don't know why this came to mind, but isn't Taurus kind of like representing a little bit of stubbornness as well, in a way, like really grounding, yeah, your your convictions, your values, and really being like, I guess, decisiveness is another word that comes to mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
So in
mhm.
my younger years, that stubbornness got me in trouble a lot
Mm.
because I would be stubborn and rooted in my own perception and I wouldn't listen to others. Like if someone came in with a different view, I'd be like, no, my way is the way. Especially
Which
with
can
my
be good. Sometimes it can be good to do that, but it
sometimes, yeah,
depends, right? Yeah.
but
Mhm.
then I was more, when you're like you're too transfixed on your vision and your idea in a way that is at detriment to yourself.
Mm.
That that happened a lot to me. Whereas if I actually listened at times, not always, but at times to the guidance of people around me, that would have opened me up and made things a lot easier. But I was very bullheaded and stubborn, and it was my way or no way, and that brought a lot of clashing with people in my life, especially my parents.
Oh, of course. And you know what I was thinking? It's like you kind of take the detour and the rocky road instead. You're
Oh
still going to find the
my
path
god.
again.
I
Yeah.
bet like my higher self would be like, "Oh my gosh, you can make this so easy, but you just make it so hard. Will you just listen?"
I know, right? We make our lives complicated all the time, but I think that's part of our journey. You and I are the same in that sense. It's like we came here to suffer, make it difficult, no matter how easy it may look for other people. We're
Yeah.
just making everything difficult.
Like fighting everything, every system, every idea. I'm like, I'm gonna fight you. But then I find the gold in it when I've exhausted myself to the point of complete fatigue. Then I freaking rest and the thing comes, and I'm like, oh, I get it now.
It's such a big drama for nothing. And it is like, oh, okay.
Oh my God. I was so dramatic as a child and a teenager.
Me too. Thinking back at certain things. Yes. Yesterday, I think I was thinking back about a lot of stuff, and some stuff was like, oh my god, what was I thinking? And other stuff was like, oh my god, like, yeah, what was I thinking? But like, I didn't need to do all that, to get to this from point A to point B. Whatever.
And also, like, my Mars is right there in with Mercury in Taurus as well.
Mm.
That makes me extra feisty, extra stubborn.
Oh my gosh, I forget what I have. I think my ascendant is Taurus. What does that mean, anyways? If you're
Yeah, your ascendant is Taurus. That's what you're stepping into in this life. That's your like higher self. That's what you're learning to be.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. To ground stuff, especially. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then to be more stubborn. Because I could be, but like not really standing my ground in the end. It was like, but with my parents, I was. I guess it depended. Oh, so here's the thing, right? It's like me, I was really stubborn with my parents, but then when it came to romantic relationships, I would be like, I'll just do whatever you want to do.
Me too. Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm really learning to like, yeah, stay true to myself. And I still see that there's some work needed, because even recently I've had some interactions where I'm like, is this really still my masculine energy? I'm like looking at like how people respond to some of my messages. I'm like, oh, I see this person's just kind of adapting to whatever I said. Yep, I see. Yeah, I still kind of do that sometimes. Like I was asking a question to someone earlier, and it's like, oh, so what do you think, about this or something? And they'd respond something, and I'd be like, and I reacted like saying, oh, I don't like what
That
you,
face.
but like, I don't, what is that? And I'd be like, oh, I don't like what you said, but I was honest. I was like, yeah, but laughing about it, and then they would be like, oh, but this is nice too. And they just said something that was very similar to what I said. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's nice too. And like, so I could see it, I can see it like reflected in every single interaction. Every time I see something that I don't like, or it makes me cringe or whatnot, it's like, oh yeah, that's my masculine, or oh yeah, that's my feminine, that's still working on stuff, like it's showing me something through this text message. So yeah.
Another thing I got as well is like, especially in my school life,
Mm.
and I would interact with like a teacher who I did not think like, who acted with their authority without the knowledge and the wisdom.
Ah.
I would clash a lot with them because to me, you have to earn that right almost to have that authority over people. And when I saw someone that was sort of throwing their weight around or being over exertive of their power, it would just like irritate me. So I
Mm.
clash a lot with them. And if I didn't agree with what they say, I'd speak it out almost. And again, it's like that butting heads energy. And sometimes maybe I should have just like let it be, let it lie. But authority figures, I don't know if you have that thing where I'm like where you would
Oh,
clash
mm.
energy.
What came to mind was an interaction I had one time with a psychologist, because it got to a point where I was like, okay, I have to do something about myself. This can't continue like this. And I was like, okay, fine. But in my family, and like in Mexico in general, so where I'm from, everybody sees anybody who goes to a psychologist for the most part is like, oh, you must be crazy, or it's not seen as something healthy at all. It's very judged, so I hadn't really wanted to do that. And plus, I was studying psychology, and whatever I would see, like, people that were in the clinical field, I would see some of the stuff that they did, or the people that they worked with. One time we had this, it was like really scary. Like, I guess there was someone who had psychosis, because they were they were in a session with one of the students, because the students do free sessions before they actually get into the field at the school. So this person came in, and all of a sudden the girl comes running out and super scared, and it's like, oh yeah, she was actually with a psychopath in the room. And so it's like, it got really scary for her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, is that the kind of people I would have to work with if I do clinical psychology? And or is that the kind of people that look for help all the time? So anyway, it kind of, I was like, no, I'm not, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And but at the end of your career, when you're a psychologist, it is recommended that you go to a psychologist yourself. It's like, it's part of the thing. The thing is, I didn't continue with psychology. I went into business afterwards. So anyway, I didn't go through that. But once I decided to finally look, I'm like, I'm gonna go see a psychologist. It was a bad experience, because it's like you said, like, I saw that she really either did not really know what she was doing, or something, where I kept asking her, oh, so do you know this theory? Oh, do you know about this? And she wouldn't want to tell me, or she didn't really know about it. And I'm just like, you're lame, I was just so I was like, nah. And then I ended up leaving and telling her, yeah, I think I'm not ready for this. And then, I wasn't even honest. I just said, I think I'm not ready for that. So bad, so bad. I just got up and I left it. And she was just like, what just happened? I just remember her face. You know what? I have a meeting right now. I think I'm not ready for this.
Wow.
Yes. So yeah, that was
Experience as well though. Like, what was the whole purpose for you to be psychologically analyzed?
But at school, you mean, or with this person I went to see?
With this like experience that happened, you said you had
Oh.
to go and participate in it.
What do you mean?
Well, is it like a role play thing, or did you actually have to go and see a psychologist properly for
Oh
this?
no, I decided to go with a psychologist for myself, like after I had finished my degrees and everything.
Oh, I get you. I thought it was part of your course, right? This is
No, 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 no. It's like one day I decided to be like, oh, finally, I'll just try it. It'll be good for me. We'll see what I get from this. And because
yeah.
I was like, what am I? I was at that point, I was just like, okay, I need to do something about myself. you know?
Looking for answers, shall we say?
Yes, looking for a way to feel better, because I was getting into a really dark, like pretty much depression. Yeah, I was depressed, I could say. Yeah, for sure. Almost suicidal. Like it started getting really dark. So I'm like, okay, this is not good. I have to do something. And since I can't really find the answers myself for now, yeah, I have to go see someone. But then I didn't have all the access to all the tools that even people have today, like online or Instagram. I didn't have, maybe I did have Instagram, but I was connected to completely different people at that time, and I was doing sports. So I was mostly connected with people in the running industry and stuff like that. And you know how runners are. I mean, runners is just about, oh, you run and you get rid of your problems kind of thing. That's what we do.
Mm.
And that's the kind of mentality I was in. Again, the whole like, oh, run, do, do things and it'll go away.
Never actually just resting, right?
Never resting. I was injured all the time as well, like because of that, because I wouldn't give my body enough time to rest. Now I still do running, but more consciously and just when I feel like it. And it's like, oh, I feel like I need to move my body, or
It
stuff.
can become another addiction, can't it?
It can't, yes, it was an addiction for sure, for sure. Oh my gosh. Like,
Thinking,
and
racing,
racing and
cycle.
yeah, always signing up for races and then being on the, ever since I was in high school, I was on a track team. So every time it's about performance and being healthy and this and that. And but then I started going downhill with the health as well. Like when I went into college and all the partying and everything is like I was trying to do both, and then it just
Wipe out.
it all exploded and I was like, oh, F this. And I left the team and I just started partying all the time. And then I was like, oh, what am I doing? And then I started running again. And then until like even a couple of years ago, I was still in a track team and competitions and this and that. And oh, let's go do nationals and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, you know what? I can still do running. At some point, I just kind of let it go. I'm like, I'm going to just not do it anymore. And I just kind of left it, but it kept coming back to me. For some reason, it is kind of still like a passion in a way. And I'm like, well, and right now I just do really easy runs. Most of the times I don't go out and do like really crazy like speed or interval workouts and stuff like that. But I see people doing them. Like I see posts online sometimes and I'm like, oh yeah, I used to be like that. That's so funny when you see it and you're like, yeah, I see you.
Like another tool in what you've learned and experienced in your life, but now you say you can use it consciously and when you feel like it, instead of it being, oh, I've got to do this at this time every day, and you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. And sometimes it is nice to go fast and like kind of release emotions. That I think helps a lot.
oh
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I do that in a sense with dance.
Mm.
I really just have moments where I know when I'm feeling like maybe a repressed anger or something, I just like go crazy with my dance. Like
Nice.
breath, jumping up and down, even screaming if I have to, just to release that emotion. So
Mm.
that's what I use as a tool. And also, I love running really fast when you have that pent up emotion or anger or something like that, to really get into the breath and to just, I almost feel it release out of my body. And it's like, whew.
Nice. Yeah. And then you feel tired, but the nice kind of tired. It's like, yeah, it's like you feel like you actually, yeah, did something good with your body, It's not like yeah, it's not an exhaustion of like an emotional exhaustion you feel sometimes where you're just like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything. It's more like it gives you more energy. You know what I mean?
Then afterwards I sink into that flow of the more still, calm. And I've dealt with that emotion, and it's almost like my inner vision just opens up even more. Or even
Oh.
having like a hot, steamy shower. Woo,
Ah, yeah.
connecting to the water again.
Yeah, I love showers. Lately, I've been taking 2 showers a day, which is not normal for me in winter. I know, but it's just so nice to just be there, and then I put this lighting in the bathroom.
Oh,
Probably
I love your light. You must show me where you got it from, because
carrying around everywhere. Yeah.
I'm gonna honestly keep it in my bag wherever I go, and I'm just gonna put it on.
Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, I was thinking the other day, I don't know why I just feel like doing this twice a day, but it's nice, yeah, to be in the water, and I guess to intentionally also feel like you have anything that's really not yours or serving you, like kind of just wash away. I feel like I've been absorbing a lot of things that are not mine lately. So, yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, I do feel that too.
Mm,
And yeah, just even going for a walk in the fresh, cold air is enough as well, because I now sort of focus in on my breath more, and try to let the thoughts just dissipate and just walk and breathe, walk and,
mm,
and just feel the almost feel the flow of that energy coming in and out, and just focusing on that, and that is enough to just be in that state of nothingness.
mm. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
That feeling, like, I just love it.
feeling.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice talking to you always.
And my love.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were available today, because I'm like, what are we going to do today? I'm like, well, maybe it's just time to sit and process. But I think, yeah, it's gonna be cool to post this little video, and hopefully people will get something from it, and well, they will.
Of course they will, darling.
Yes, of course. It's like, oh, we're always just hoping that maybe will happen. No, it will happen.
It
If you're
will.
listening to this,
It
it's because, yeah,
absolutely will. Full faith, full trust that this message will reach whoever it does, and there'll be a beautiful message in there for them.
right, exactly.
So, before we go, let's get one closing card each.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good idea. I like it. Let's see.
Oh gosh, that's too many. Wow.
Sometimes you also gotta put limits, or boundaries even with yourself, right? It's like sometimes you get a message, you're like, no, I think I don't want to do that, and I do that, right? And even with like with the cards, like, oh no, hey, wait a second, those are too many cards.
Yeah, that's too many. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Now I'm gonna check this.
I can't get one.
Ooh.
One just flew out like all the way over there. Oh, like deep knowing.
Oh, that's that. Oh, wisdom.
Yes.
Is that the moon I see as
Yeah,
well?
that's the moon.
Yeah.
Feminine. The moon represents the feminine normally, right? There's two moons too. I mean, I guess unless he's on top of the sun or another planet, I don't know, but yeah, I think he's on top of. Maybe that's Mercury. That kind of looks like Mercury.
Beautiful.
Nice.
And you know what, as well, I got the number 13 card.
Wait a second. So,
Energy, or fucus, or
oh yes.
fuchsius, however you want to say it.
Yeah, if you kiss. I don't know. Yeah,
Fork in the road.
you got fork in the road. Okay.
Now, is that a llama with antlers?
Oh my gosh, it looks like a llama. Yeah, that doesn't look like a llama. Oh my god.
Because to me, that is not a reindeer. That's
No, it looks like a llama. Oh, that's so cute.
right. There's
Wow.
a little monkey on the top, but there's a decision to be made.
Yeah. Wow. So what are you gonna decide, right? Like, will you decide to really step into your power and go deep into the ocean? Or
Mm,
you have the choice. It's always about, yeah, what choices you make.
we always have the power, and we always have the power of choice. Exactly. Whoa.
Yeah. Nice.
That's beautiful. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. Oh yeah, amazing. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.
Ah.